All right, Lindsey Williams, continuing. We're into hour number 2. You were going through. Yesterday, we didn't get into the chronology of events he gave you. We had just gotten up to the point where he was talking about bringing in inflation over the next 2 years. I just want to add that I run into a lot of high-powered people in Austin over the years, and I've heard repeatedly from people that are extremely wealthy. And once I ran into a very well-known person who knew who I was and just told me, I'm leaving the country. This is 2 years ago. They said, in the next few years, America won't exist. And I said, what does that mean? They said, you'll see. And then I went and looked up. I vaguely knew who they were. Went and looked them up and didn't even know they were worth billions of dollars and all this other stuff. So the point is, there's a lot of intel backing up what Lindsey's saying. Lindsey, continue.
You're right, Alex. They have a 2-year timeline. And, folks, I wish I could stress to you more. The first time I met the elite years ago, I was appalled that there could be people on the face of the earth who would intentionally manipulate governments, people, nations, currencies, and totally control it. And I need to elaborate again. There positively is a group of people on the face of the earth who control the world, and they've got 2012. He said the dollar will be dead. Now, here's the next one that he said that I'm still shaking. I mean, I must admit, I'm appalled. He said war is planned after 2 years. Folks, they plan these things. They know where they're going. They know what they're doing. And they're going to do it exactly as they said they were going to, because they know exactly. I mean, please believe me whenever I say that the elite know exactly what they're going to accomplish and how they're going to go about it. And they have war planned in 2012 or somewhere along in that area. And he even told me where it was going to start, how it was going to happen, what would happen. It would spread through the entire world. And every bit of this is okay. I'll elaborate more on point after point as Alex wants it. We must take action immediately. Get this DVD by Alex Jones. Please get out millions of copies of it. Do you realize that we've got 2 years? They have it planned. He gave me the figure, 2 years, over and over and over. You have 2 years, or your children and grandchildren will be slaves. As Alex said a moment ago, he heard somebody who was one of the rich people that said, we're leaving America. He said, you won't know America in 2 years' time. This is exactly what this gentleman said to me. He said, within 2 years, you will not recognize the United States of America. Now, if I could put it in everyday terms so that even I could understand it, the elite are laughing at the gullible, stupid American who has fallen for every line that they've put out there for you. You've taken that baseball apple pie and beer, you've run with it, and you're satisfied to take their job just over broke and accept what they have given you, and you have not risen up and rebelled. You've got to do something, folks. Now, please, I beg of you. All right, here we go. Within 2 years, nearly everyone will be working for the federal government. Did you hear this? He said this. He said almost everyone will be working for the federal government. Think about it for a moment. General Motors, they were about to go bankrupt. So who stepped in and bailed them out? The federal government. Who is the CEO of General Motors right now? The President of the United States of America. Who's the CEO of Chrysler? Everybody who works for General Motors or Chrysler is working for the federal government right now. How about the banks? They're taking them over 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 almost every weekend. Do you realize that they want to narrow it down to 9? Come on, here's the figure. Put it down, write it down, and watch it happen. They're going to narrow it down to 9 major banks. Then they'll be able to bail out, and they already have, bail out the ones that are left.
Stay right there. Vertical integration of the economy, criminal consolidation, the globalist IMF, World Bank, G20 documents say as much as your source told you. We're going to continue to go through this, and then information we didn't get to yesterday, that's coming up. We're just recapping right now.
The New World Order beast is genetically modifying your food, mixing vegetables with animals, and now experimenting with viruses. Without a long-term food solution, you will have just two options: starve, or surrender. All canned food supplies will eventually run out. What then? Grow your own healthy food and feed your family forever. SurvivalistSeeds.com is now the nation's largest bulk heirloom seed company, and it's owned by a real patriot, Big John Lipscomb. You can now have an infinite amount of healthy vegetables like a watermelon, a bundle of carrots, or tomatoes for a little more than a penny each. SurvivalistSeeds.com. And now you can go into business with Big John at SurvivalistSeeds.com by becoming an affiliate. See his link at SurvivalistSeeds.com.
Lindsey Williams is our guest. Okay, Lindsey, continue. You were going through this former CEO of a major oil company, an insider who you've worked with. People say, well, why don't you give us his name? I deal with that with sources all the time. That's journalism 101, is that if you ever give up your sources, before a whistleblower gives you info, they go look and see if you've ever given up sources. So when I get a Department of Homeland Security internal document saying all veterans, gun owners, conservatives are their number one enemy, libertarians, when I first broke that and the MIAC report, people said, oh, it's not real. They called the phone numbers on it and they said, no, this is real. Where'd you get it? And for 2 days, people didn't believe it was real. Then national news picked it up. We can't give you our sources. A lot of times we have sources on the air, whistleblowers, you name it, if they want to go public. But we'll talk about why Lindsey thinks this guy's talking to him, but keep running through it all, then we'll go back through it and get blow by blow through what he told you. Go ahead, Lindsey Williams.
Well, 2 years ago, Alex, when this gentleman called me, and you'll remember that he threatened me. And he said, Chaplain, you're saying some things that you can't say anymore. And he said, if you don't quit saying this and this and this, we are going to do this, this, and this. I had not talked to the man in 25 years. I think it's satisfactory to say that after he and I agreed to agree, and he said the price of, and then I said, by the way, how's your family? Where have you been living? What are you doing? And he told me these things. He became friendly to me. And at that point, he said the price of crude oil is going from $147 to $50 a barrel. I think the mere fact of his credibility and saying that 3 months later, it took place exactly like he said. Even people in Wall Street said, you're crazy, it can't happen, it'll impact the world too much. But the mere fact of what this man said back then, you better believe what he's saying today, too. It's going to take place exactly like he said it. And when he said to me, war will take place after 2 years. Now, get his words well. War will take place after 2 years. It reminded me so much, Alex, of Major General Smedley Butler, who wrote the famous book. I mean, Eisenhower said that he said, I'm nothing compared to this Smedley Butler. He said, he is a man amongst men. President Eisenhower said that about him. And Smedley Butler wrote in his book, he said, war is a racket. It always has been. It is possibly the oldest, easily the most profitable, surely the most vicious. It is the only one in which the profits are reckoned in dollars and the losses in lives. Only a small inside group knows what it is about. It is conducted for the benefit of the very few at the expense of the very many. Out of war, a few people make huge fortunes. And that's the first thing that came to my mind was what Smedley Butler had said when this man said, war will break out in approximately 2 years. It will begin in the Middle East. It will spread to the entire world. People, we have a maximum of 2 years. And if Alex and the others out there like him have not turned this country around in 2 years, folks, if you have not risen up and rebelled against the tyrants within 2 years, and I'm quite sure you remember what was said by one of the great men of America in past years. He said, rebellion to tyrants is obedience to God. That was Thomas Jefferson, one of the writers and founders of this country. And if we haven't risen up successfully in 2 years' time and turned this thing around, our republic is gone.
Let me just add something about Smedley Butler. 2-time Congressional Medal of Honor winner, took over all these different nations for the globalist. And then they came to him in the mid-30s and said, we want to have a coup. We're going to link up with Hitler. We want you to lead 500,000-man army to take over the U.S. He played along till he could go to the McCormick-Dickstein Committee and blow the whistle. That's mainline history, but it's not widely known and not widely taught, but it is mainline history. And Butler finally woke up, like a lot of people in the Pentagon, like Fox Fallon, who was a big globalist. When they finally told the brass a few years ago, we're going to overthrow America, a lot of generals quit and left and are refusing. So there are a lot of aces in the hole out there, like Smedley Butler still. A lot of people we think are our friends are going to turn out not being our friends. A lot of people we didn't think were our friends are going to end up being our friends. And I just wanted to add that about Smedley Butler. And the Rand Corporation documents and others have stated that they do plan to stage a new war to help build their new world order, because a war will unify the people around the governments to follow their orders. Go ahead, Lindsey Williams.